This is an ABC News special report.
Good afternoon from ABC News headquarters in New York. I'm Dan Harris. We're breaking into regular programming because we have an update now on the sad and frankly horrifying breaking news of this day. Another school shooting in this country, this time in Santa Fe, Texas, outside of Houston. The governor of Texas, Governor Greg Abbott, who you see on your screen right there, is about to give an update on the latest information coming in after this shooting. We know fewer than 10 people died, but they're saying multiple casualties, so it could be upwards of 9 fatalities. So let's listen into this news conference.
Governor, we come together today as we deal with one of the most heinous attacks that we've ever seen in the history of Texas schools. It's impossible to describe the magnitude of the evil of someone who would attack innocent children in a school, a place of learning where parents should be able to send their children without fear for their child's safety. It's with a very heavy heart that I can confirm that as of this time, there have been 10 lives that have been lost and another 10 that have been wounded. We grieve for the victims who lost their lives at Santa Fe High School, and we pray for the families who are suffering and will continue to suffer in the days to come. I ask the rest of the country to join Texas in mourning the loss of these individuals, these students, and to offer your prayers and support of these families. And I ask every parent out there, wherever you may be, to hold your children close tonight and let them know how much you love them. We have 2 goals going forward. The immediate goal is to work in the immediate aftermath of this catastrophe to gather the evidence and information that is needed to ensure that this crime is going to be prosecuted appropriately, while also working in tandem to ensure that we provide the families and victims, as well as all the children at this school and schools across the entire independent school district, with the support and resources and counseling they need. Second, we need to do more than just pray for the victims and their families. It's time in Texas that we take action to step up and make sure this tragedy is never repeated ever again in the history of the state of Texas. So, beginning immediately, I'm going to be working with members of the Texas legislature, but also members of our communities across the entire state of Texas to begin with roundtable discussions beginning next week, where we will assemble all stakeholders to begin to work immediately on swift solutions to prevent tragedies like this from ever happening again. We are still, law enforcement is still in the process of undertaking both searches and investigation of the entire scene, as well as other locations. They have warrants out concerning the person who was responsible for the shooting, and they include warrants to search 2 residences. The reason why there is some slowness in being able to undertake these searches is because of the potential for explosive devices to be found in these residences, as they want to make sure they're able to enter them without anybody being harmed. One reason why there is concern about explosive devices is that various different kinds of explosive devices have already been detected. One was a CO2 device, another was a Molotov cocktail, and there are various other types of explosive devices that have been identified both in a home as well as in a vehicle. There's also a search warrant out for the vehicle of the shooter, but again, care and caution is being undertaken to make sure that entry is not made into that vehicle in a way that could pose harm to the people who are trying to enter into it. We also know information already the shooter has information contained in journals on his computer and his cell phone that he said that not only did he want to commit the shooting, but he wanted to commit suicide after the shooting. As you probably know, he gave himself up and admitted at the time that he didn't have the courage to commit the suicide, that he wanted to take his own life earlier. So you'll know there are one or two other people of interest that are going to be and are currently being interviewed. One is a person who was at the scene, and we cannot definitively say whether or not this is a person who may have had some level of involvement in the crime. There was just some suspicious reactions on the part of this person that we want to make sure that this person is adequately investigated. And then separate from that, there is another person where we have certain information that we want to make sure this other person is going to be fully interviewed to see if there's information to be gleaned from this other person who at this time will not be identified. As you probably have heard, the weapons used in this attack, there are two weapons. One was a shotgun and the other is a .38 revolver. Neither of these weapons were owned or legally possessed by the shooter. It's my information that both of these weapons were obtained by the shooter from his father. It's my information at this time that the father legally owned these weapons. I have no information at this time whether or not the father was aware that his son had taken these weapons from the father.